Welcome, everybody, to the Slab Lounge, hosted by the three Kwamis, Doug Medhead, Kevin Bradley, and Robert Hayward. The Slab Lounge is brought to you by Toasted Summer. Toasted Summer and BobbyFrancisBoutique.com. Go like those two websites. I'll keep giving shout outs to. And the other is Wrestling in Power. Bob Saget, Louie Anderson, and now the newest, Arthur the Aardvark. Did you hear about that?
Wait, is that kid the author? The kid from Arthur?
Arthur is ending. Arthur is officially ending. The book and TV series are officially ending after 25 years. Can you believe that? Well,
is that because of backlash of because they added like a gay character? Or I think
no, it's just that it's just ending now.
Radcliffe was actually pretty accepted.
I can't it's. I know we said this is going to be Anime Debate Part 2, Return of Jafar, but I just needed to throw that out there. It's with me especially. This kind of hurts because I actually did one abridged episode of Arthur, wherein Arthur was just Arthuring it up. But one of the things I wanted to do in the later in part 2 and 3 was show off how Buster, who's just a boss at everything. I mean that's just a thing. Buster's just awesome. He's like a mob boss or whatever. Arthur's grandmother's super fucking racist. She's talking about how the aardvarks are the master race or what have you, and it's just I just went from there.
Wait, Arthur was an aardvark?
Yeah. Yeah, you didn't know that?
I thought he was some type of weird bastard bear thing. I don't know. Bear thing. Dude, he had the bear ears and the cartoon bear ears, but he had a rat face.
Wow.
He's one of those weird characters, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Arthur was an aardvark.
If you didn't watch the thing, you'd be like, I don't know, is this guy in high school? Is he a young kid? I have no idea. He'll be a young adult. No one knows. Just based off Arthur's look, he dresses out like he's gonna go file a 1040 tax form somewhere.
There is
Yeah, CPA, totally CPA, double line, but he has side bitches, and that's why now
he has side bitches.
He's on the ID channel find out which one of his bitches killed him.
Oh wow! It's I'm gonna make you hate this whoever did it, because I saw this one YouTube channel. I forgot the name of it. But this person did a parody animated Arthur series, Arthur in the future. He's a deadbeat. He and Buster are living together. Buster's a total pothead. DW is this fashionista or something like that. One of the girls that was implied to have had a crush on Arthur in the TV series is now full on same sex lesbian, and it's so.
Oh. So we know there's that one chick, right? The one with the brown hair.
Mm-hmm.
She looks like him, right? I don't know her name. You know who I'm talking about, right?
I do, yes.
It was obvious. That chick screamed PE teacher, gym teacher at some high school. That's a reunion. She's the PE teacher at the old high school.
Mm-hmm.
So you're trying to say she is Peppermint Patty Dog?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so Pepper and Patty didn't scream PE teacher, as in more of she was just gonna be some annoying chick down the road or whatever. This chick screams, "This is my job." This is what.
So.
Because Pepper and Patty is could be a beach bum, surfer chick, whatever. You could easily see her ending up being when she grows up, being a model for a Tomboy magazine, but she's being hot, but she's bi with her hot lesbian chick who was always hanging around her. Yeah, you can see that turning around. The other
Marcy was not about to hide.
Wow. Okay. So
she's just there. She'll be Peppermint Patty be the model, and Marcy would be her agent, booking all her shit and manager, and she'd be fucking on the side, but she'd be all jealous of all this talent photographers and stuff. Like, it's a cool show. It's like how they have Laverne and Shirley spin off of Happy Days. Like, it's,
Oh yeah, Laverne and Shirley was a spin-off. I forgot about that.
there's like 5 of them: Jonah Chachi, Laverne and Shirley.
Yeah, everybody was pretty popular, so it broke apart to everybody getting their own thing.
Yeah.
Except Ron Howard.
Ron Howard went behind the thing. He started looking at himself in the mirror and was like, God. Even Opie from the Andy Griffith Show was just like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, no. Homer Simpson said it best about Ron Howard. He's when Ron Howard's like, "Why do you think I gave up acting to become a director? Because you weren't cute anymore?" And the guy's like, and Disco Stew's like, "I'll agree. Circle takes a square. Good night, everybody." And like everybody's clapping because like Homer was right.
This is right. But hey, it doesn't matter when you have the money and he has something else to fall back on. Like, I mean, the worst thing would be if he didn't have that and he would be trying to right now in his whatever his 50s or whatever he's at, trying to be like, let's reboot the Andy Griffith Show. I'll play Opie, but grown up and middle age.
Well, I don't know. That might work, considering no, because like if it'll brighten your day up. Granted, like with Arthur stuff, Mike Judge announced that the King of the Hill revival is actually happening. And from what we hear, and from what I heard, he originally wanted like Bobby to be 20 years older or what have you. So yeah, that animated series is coming back, baby. Take from that what you will.
have Beavis and Butthead coming back, but so Hank will be Cotton, but with shins.
Well, I don't know, because Cotton canonically died. He actually did die in King of the Hill.
Yeah, he died, and they had a whole episode flooding him down the crapper, Patton Oswalt or whatever.
Yeah.
Not Patton Oswalt, but General Patton.
General, yeah, something like that.
But I'll be interested if they did that. Is Bill Tree still alive? Like,
I don't know.
because that'd be cool. Like, super creepy, still stalking, wanting to get Peggy.
Yeah. But let's get back to the anime debate of Doom, because there's one thing I wanted to touch up on that actually Captain K talked about in our episode when we were doing a Let's Play of Ninja Gaiden. When I was talking when I was upselling the hell out of Rachel, talking about how hot she is, and you brought up Wicked City. I was like, oh god, Wicked City, that fucking, full of all types of sex and what have you, and the writing was just god-awful. But then again, it's Wicked City, you're not supposed to... It was during that...
No one went into Wicked City being like, oh, this will be a wholesome movie. Yeah.
Which is weird. I want to say, like, there was this period in, like, the 80s / early 90s when anime, in general, was just all like, you know what? Let's have gore porn and, like, all the tits.
It was the early 90s. Whatever you wanted, you could make it. It just could.
Well, I mean, like, there was...
If you wanted it to be in horror, it was even better.
It was even better?
Really? if you wanted it in horror and you were like, I want to make this horror movie. Okay, there's going to be tits everywhere. All right. Well, we got you funded. What else you want?
I mean, like, there was Wicked City, there was Demon City Shinjuku, and don't even get me started on, like, Angel Cop or fucking Cyber City 080808. And even the dubbing was just...
Queen Bee.
Say again?
Go 13, Queen Bee.
Oh, God. That.
Yeah.
I put that in, like, the deepest
I
corners.
That out, that existed. I was like, oh, I didn't know we were making something like that now. Jeez.
Yeah, hell, Vampire Hunter D, the first one? Are you kidding me? I mean, Doris was all like, you could bite me. I'll let you sleep with me, and like, you gave me an excuse to show you my tits, And like, D's hand was just all like, dude, I want to suck on those tits.
I mean, the hand, the hilarious part about that is like, the hand is not by any means the moral choice that you think. Like, most of the time, the hand is like, hey, I don't want to die, so I'm going to tell you this. But in other situations, the hand will just be like, look, I know you want to bang, but I'm going to give you shit about it. You're going to do it, you're still going to do it, but I'm going to give you shit.
God, Vampire Hunter D.
Well, even, and I actually read the novels. Not all of them, because they're still ongoing. But, no, that hand's that way the whole time. The novel. It will help him because of self-preservation, and it'll have comical moments. But most of the time, it's just giving D shit. Just because it's there.
Well, okay, see, let me ask you this. How are the novels? Because, like, I've talked to people that have read the D novels, and they're just all like, I don't want to talk about the novels. Like, a lot of people, it seems like the novels are just...
It's not that the novels are bad, but they're not... The aesthetic of the novels, there is never really a happy moment. D's whole adventure is a depressing adventure. Mm-hmm. But it's action filled. There's a bunch of stuff going on, but there's a lot of angst. There's Dracula Daddy angst. There's Soul split off into two splinter hymns, and then now he has to deal with like other him running around being evil while he's not evil, and it doesn't get resolved in like a Showtime event. So like at the end of the book, if it's still an issue, it's still an issue. Like it's not gone.
So you just forgot about it. Then it's like, what was the plot? I don't know.
Yeah, because
like you can go 2 books over, and that thing that you haven't talked about for a while. Yeah, no, it was fucking shit up. It's now plot relevant because you let it run around too long. Like it's, but there's never a D has a victory moment. Even if he kills what is inevitably like the enemy of whatever book it is,
mm-hmm.
you don't have a moment of like, yay, my hero, because there's always some other consequence that's coming out. Like, the character he was protecting might have to die. The character he's protecting might have wanted to die in the first place, and that's what they brought D to do. That person might live a happy life, but everybody else in their family got murdered. Like, you know, there's never a moment where you read the book, and then you're just like, okay, I feel good. That, and they all canonically happen, but the books avoid time. So you don't know how much time passes between stuff. And sometimes stuff will be addressed in a book, and it'll bring you back to like so many books back, but you don't know how long's actually transpired because D's technically immortal. So they don't even context the time. So if you ever want to be like, when did this happen? You're just kind of screwed.
Oh, okay.
My God,
but there's no time set to work on.
This just seems like a Michael Bay dream. Like, they can just do explosions. Oh, I don't have to worry about plot or time. Oh, okay, cool.
Well, I mean, the setting's at a point where it basically looks like the Wild West prairies, but there's cyborg horses that you ride, and they have machines that can control the weather directly.
So it's like
But there's still farms. But then there's also lasers, and people can travel through space. So there are aliens. And then there's parasitic. Like, it's all across the board.
There are aliens now in Wow, okay.
Oh, no, there's officially aliens. Because remember, the vampires can go in space.
Well, yeah.
They set up space travel in itself. So some of the things that are there on the planet currently are from experiments that they brought back with them from their travels. That's why they're not really just running amok on the planet currently, is because most of them, when the rain started to fall, like their reign of control fell, they went to space. But no one knows exactly where that is.
Huh.
That's why the whole Meyer Lake thing happens in Bloodlust.
Well, yeah, because
Straight up asshole because you're in a post-apocalyptic future world.
well, yeah, because
The only thing that's more sure that human beings shit is if they introduce any angel character. That person's gonna be the worst.
I mean, most of the time, with the exception of I think like maybe one or two books, kids you can usually be fair about. If D's encountering kids, it doesn't end with him murdering kids. It doesn't go there. But at the same time, there are some shit kids. Not in the context of you want to murder them, but you're just like, why? Why would you make him have to go save you from that when you already knew and he told you like 5 hours ago? Don't go do that. Why did you go do it?
TikTok famous.
TikTok.
I don't know out there because each story is in the future, so technology varies. Someone will be on a cell phone-like thing, and then the next place you go to, bitches don't have bathrooms. Like, I don't know.
They're not like, how do you go to places like, we have a bathroom, like, did no one invent it? Like, I feel like it should be number one priority.
Well, because it drastically does it, because what would be settlements? You can have a settlement which is like sitting there like a farm settlement. Or you can have a settlement that's technically like a city of brick or mortar. Or you can have one of the fucking floating settlements that's moving just randomly because the machine still works.
More like that Modern Instruments thing when they had that London movement.
Basically like that. Like it's just constantly, but it doesn't have legs or anything. It's machine still, so it hovers. It's literally just roaming. No one can know where it is unless you see it. So that's why. But they're cool with it because during the big war, it kept them safe because no one could really know where the fuck they were because they don't know.
So they called this settlement John Cena?
But I mean, like, as you go through the different books and you actually start to get the world, it gets to a ridiculous point where you're just like, whatever they tell you, you just go with. So you'll be like, oh, werewolf with a parasite in its stomach that has a separate mouth? Alright, that's normal because D has a hand with a mouth. That's fine. Oh, this character can talk to me in my dreams but still affect me in real life? Okay, JoJo does that kind of stuff. Oh, this cyborg horse has 8 legs? Okay, it's a cyborg horse, I guess. Like, you know, you just give up arguing. You're just like, yep, that's a thing in the universe. And then there's some book that's the prequel of the predecessor to D. But that one does take place in space. Because it's during the Vampire War in space somewhere, but D doesn't technically know about it, but it's the person before him.
Are you sure this is...
It's a whole thing, because it's like Grey Lancer or something.
Oh,
It's a lot.
Wait,
That's why you probably get people going, ugh, because it's a lot.
Well, for the record,
It's
like,
hard to explain in like a 10-minute span and have any of it make sense.
well, for the record, I've always wanted to like, cause like D as a character to me, like I love him as a character because he just comes cause like he's essentially like. I know this isn't an apples to apple. Like I put him up in the same area where I do Samus Aran, or Samus Aran, however you're supposed to pronounce her name.
Okay, yeah.
And don't bring up other M. I mean like Metroid
That's
Fusion.
Because that's the whole interpretation. Because yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, because like Samus could talk. She did it in Metroid Fusion, which everybody seems to forget existed, and then
Well,
other.
I don't even have an issue with the talking. It's just as they later started to represent her, I was just kind of like,
Yeah, the personality that Team Ninja gave her. That's fucking shit. Like
that's where my line is. But other than that, I don't have an issue.
Yeah, no, because like in Metroid Fusion, that was her personality. She just comes off as the strong silent type. That's essentially it. And I was like, oh, okay, that's it. And then like,
I mean, she's basically a space bounty hunter. That's what you'd expect. She's not hanging around people all the time, chatting it up. Like, I gotta go do the mission, and then come back.
Like Six, right? Six from Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
well,
Like, I
6.
always understood her just in that aspect. Like, yeah, she's not gonna be chat because she's never gonna be around people long enough to be chat. It's why fucking 90% of the Fed fan fucking
Yeah.
right?
Aren't great at just like chatting it up and making friends. They're used to just killing somebody and leaving. You're done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes Samus so much hotter. It's just like, yeah, yeah, gonna break that icy wall.
Okay. But but like with D, like, because I heard about what they did to in D, the novel version of Bloodlust, and like how the Marcus brothers were continuously like what was it, raping her? I forgot her name.
Oh yeah.
I was like, wait, really? That's what they just flat out say it like that? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, I remember hearing about that because I was just like, well, there was no subtlety, no,
Yeah.
just, she's trauma. She has trauma now. And you're like, all right.
I mean, like, if that's the case, then I'm okay with what the anime movie did to replacing her personality with what they replaced it with. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, God, like.
But no, D fits that category because it's the same thing. There's, even through his novels, it is very rare D encounters somebody else twice. Unless they happen to be immortals for a supernatural thing or the thing he has not killed yet.
Not like,
Other than that, if you encounter someone from like the first book ever again, that's where your question of time comes into context. Because usually you will meet them either in the sense of they're super old, or you will meet their grandchild who heard story.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, how many fucking years have passed in 2 novels?
I mean, I guess
Well,
because it's immortal, time doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. They don't even bother to address it as a thing because D's just constantly on adventure. And so because of that, the world's constantly changing. So that's why I said it's hard to get a grasp of things to ever really explain something because in 1 minute when you want to be like, oh, well, all settlements are on the ground, they introduce the fucking floating settlement. And you're like, okay. You go, oh, well, okay, definitely most all vampires, other than like half people, can't be out in the daytime. No, they invoke this weird spiritual daytime vampire dream thing that happened where you're like, okay, well, fuck the daytime too. Like, you know. So you can't really set an expectation that this is a normal rule that ever is going to be broken because they're just going to eventually introduce something that's going to be like, you know that rule we told you? Fuck you. Vampires thought about it before. Like,
So you want like a prequel like the Star Wars one where it says trade routes, there's this setting shit up.
but that's probably what Grey Lancer is because that's the war in space before everything finally calmed down on Earth. So but I'm not even done with D officially because there's somewhere in book 26.
26?
And I'm actually only in book like 8. So
Jesus.
So yeah, and they're not done. Like it's still going. So that's why I'm like, I don't have time to go back to prequel. There's no point. I don't even know what's going on in the world currently.
Jesus.
So that was funny.
Talk about like.
It's exhausting, but it's good story. Like you get invested, but you get exhausted because you're just like, holy shit. There's even if he kills someone, there's not an end to what he's doing. And then with that fact that you don't really have attachments, it's just D for the most part is your continuous person through each story. That's it. So anything you know about a previous story can be tossed out the window because that could be anywhere between 10 years
a way you can find out,
I'm in those groups. It's a lot. Even in story speculation, if people think that it was a lot when they were speculating Game of Thrones, go look at a Reddit about the stories involving Vampire Hunter D. No, there's much harder speculations in there because there's all kinds of things just thrown at you, and you have to be like, there has to be a reason. Because everything, the core reason is the vampires created everything that's currently there. So, if there's some weird ass demon that's there coming down from the sky to eat your cattle, the vampires probably made it. But it probably served a purpose originally. You just don't know why because there's no vampires running around explaining it anymore.
Oh, okay.
So it's just like, for every weird thing that's there, the vampires created it for a reason. But you can't really get context to meet a vampire. And in most of those contexts, D is killing them. So you can't really ask questions unless D's questioning it. So you're just like, why is this? Oh, well, D killed them, so I don't know. Well, so it puts you love the stories, they're written well, they're great told stories. But when you want answers, they don't give you answers and you have no idea when the end is in sight because you don't really know what the end goal is. D kills vampires. He does have his own story arc, but his story arc still involves what would be, quote-unquote, canonical Dracula, who is still roaming around somewhere, possibly, but has also
like
set up...
Carmen San Diego?
Well, yeah, basically, because he set up decoy versions of him. His images are put places. There are other quote-unquote Ds because D is the successful experiment. So technically, it's not like he's the only one. So,
Oh God.
so there's a whole thing going on with D. But half the time, the stories don't deal with that unless they have to, and it'll just be D on a mission. And that mission will take that whole fucking book, unless it's one of those that's 2 or 3 books broken apart. Because it's just so much stuff, and your brain is like, you can't read them back to back. You have to read one, and then take it in for a bit, and then go to the next one. Like, it's great stories, but it's a lot. So if you ever do want to read it, I recommend that you read one, but don't be like, I'm just gonna buy 8. No, you're gonna read one, and then you're probably gonna sit there for like a month before you read the next one.
Well, you got 20.
You just gotta take it in.
Well,
I
so
mean, I guess,
so
if
it's
you go to jail, that's the book to read in the library. You got nothing else to do.
Yeah. Oh no, it'll give you things to think about. It would because the movies, even Bloodlust, which looks amazing and everything else, they don't give the book the justice that it has. The whole Bloodlust movie.
yeah.
Yeah, Carmilla's not in the book.
Yeah, no, that's something I wanted to touch up on. Because, like, the Castle at Shaith, that wasn't in it. Neither was Carmilla. I don't even think the Barbaroi
No, they were.
Oh, they were? Okay.
Yeah, no, because technically the castle itself is there, but it isn't the Castle of Shaith. It's just a castle
Yeah.
that Meyerling found out that the spaceship was in. And he hired the Barbaroi to protect him for the journey and to keep her safe. So that part's set. But the whole involvement of Carmilla,
No.
nothing involved.
Yeah, she had nothing to do with it. And that's something that, like, a lot of, like, people just berated on Bloodlust because, like, they just did last-minute characterizations. Like, oh, we're going to throw Carmilla at you. And you're just like, wait, what?
But if you read the novel, you get it. Because there's things they didn't set. Because technically, the part of the Barbaroi that had the werewolf guy
Yeah.
with the other mouth, he's a bigger villain. Like, it leads into a whole big thing under the discretion of what kind of parasite is in D's hand. Because that thing in his stomach is a whole separate entity, like in D's hand. And so there's a whole, like, 2 to 3 chapters of them doing that. And nobody was trying to do all that. So they just created a subset and then killed him off. Then, not to mention, there's a whole other thing of Meyerling and Charlotte. Because Charlotte technically dies well earlier. before getting there anyway.
Oh, okay.
But Marling still wants to take her to space because that's where she wanted to go with it. So
all
the
right.
battle still happens, but the whole consequences and everything and how Dee interacts with Marling, completely different without Carmen. It's the battle with the Barbaroi happens. Everything with the Marcus brothers is a much more aggressive told story.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm kind of happy the movie didn't go down as deep as they needed to, because the real story is, wow, it's very, wow. You can't like any of the Marcus brothers except her. That's it.
For the record, people, I'm going to title this Anime Debate Part 2 Return of Jafar Vampire Hunter D, because I want to continue with this portion of the debate. Lord no, because like I love Vampire Hunter D. And yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's I love it to death. It's been life. It's just when you take in all the media of it, and then be like, no, that's canonical. You're like, holy shit! Like,
Yeah.
It's the storytelling is on par up there with like the despair that Berserk can give. It's on par with that, even though you don't think it when you go fully through it. You're just like, shit. It's just like, why do people get up and go outside? No.
But like something interesting you did say, like when you're talking about the speculation shit, because that reminds, like I'll put all that speculation stuff that you were talking about on par with what is and isn't Simpsons canon, because Lord knows, from what you're telling me, like they're playing real fast and loose on what constitutes canon, much like the Simpsons. Because like apparently like one of the things that got phased out from the Simpsons is like Marge wasn't a cop. Like, even though she was, they just don't acknowledge it as canon anymore for some reason. And don't even get me started on what happened when they